All right, it's now 4:30. Go ahead and call this workshop to order. Val, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Snow?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Delanoy?
Here.
Mayor Penny?
Here. So we'll turn it to Joe. We wanted to move SB 64.
Yeah, we're going to start the workshop out talking about SB 64 discussion, and we have with us Brad Blaze from Mead Hunt. And the reason that I asked for this meeting is because a couple of meetings ago, Mayor, you asked to put together an ordinance to support a charter amendment to restrict the term toilet to tap from being an option for the city. And in putting that together, I came across our SB 64 plan, and in there it talks about as a tier 3 project, which is very unlikely to happen, but it's in there. This is deep well injection or aquifer storage and recovery, which is much different than toilet to tap. I think people are confusing deep well injection with toilet to tap. So before we did anything, I wanted to make sure that you and the commissioners understand the difference between toilet to tap and what the deep well injection option is, so that if you decide you want to move forward with a charter amendment and an ordinance, that we know exactly what it is that we're proposing. We're not jeopardizing the plan, and we're not doing anything in violation of the state law.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So should we ask Brad to explain our process to get us out of the river?
Well, I think what we should do a couple of things. Being that this is all SB 64, if you'll just start with what our obligation is under SB 64 to get out of the river in the time frame and what the 3 tiers are, and then jump into maybe the definition of what toilet to tap really is versus what our objectives are in this plan.
Certainly.
I think, what, 2037 to get out?
2032.
2032.
So, has your memo been circulated or is that okay? Basically, Joseph did what I think is a very thorough job of explaining what Senate Bill 64 is. In Senate Bill 64, what was the date of this plan when it was generated and submitted to you guys? Okay, so that was in 2021, so it's been 5 years. And that regulation was set up so that in 2032, all of the utilities throughout the state of Florida that have a surface water discharge, what's called an NPDES permit, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit, that discharge the surface waters, have to beneficially utilize, which means public access reclaimed water, other, aquifer replenishment programs, or some other beneficial utilization of the reclaimed water that's being generated to reduce surface water discharge and discharge essentially nutrients to estuaries, to surface waters, to the St. Johns River, to the Halifax River, to any type of surface water throughout the state of Florida that is subject to NPDES regulations. So in essence, it requires by 2032 90% beneficial recovery of the amount of water that you treat and manage on an annualized basis. So that means that over a large part of the year, you're using 100% of it, and then maybe during hurricane events, high flow events or whatever, you're still using what you need to get the water out of your facility so that it doesn't flood and cause damage to homeowners and otherwise damage your facilities. So we came up with a strategy that established a 3-tier system of different projects that will get you towards a path that you can achieve that goal of 90% beneficial recovery. Currently, through your public access reclaimed water system, primarily through irrigation of the golf course, you're using about 30% of your effluent on an annual basis. So that leaves a delta difference of about 60%. And I think that 60% number is quantified in this report, but I can't recall it off the top of my head.
That's about 600,000-700,000.
It's about 700,000 gallons per day of effluent, which is not a huge amount. It's a manageable amount. And there were, in the previous master plan, identification of certain, let's say, cost-effective alternatives. The school. There was potential to irrigate ball fields, potential, you're already irrigating some other city facilities, and maximizing those beneficial projects to cost effectively utilize effluent without getting to wholesale retrofit neighborhoods. And the problem with wholesale retrofit neighborhoods is it's very, very expensive, and also the bang for the buck and the number of folks that are going to want to pay for that service on the backs of the other ratepayers that are going to have to pay the very, large capital expense. Simply, it just really is not a cost-effective way for your community to do that. And in many communities, new development pays for itself. They put in the purple pipes in their infrastructure. They have dry land reclaim systems, so that when city facilities get out to them, they just hook up an entire neighborhood. Where
And just, you don't know, but Mirage, we just hooked up as a, single family home, new, and they paid for it. And they're right by our pipe, so, but there's very few opportunities in the future to hook up additional.
Right.
people.
So when you have that ability to hook up a large user that can beneficially use the effluent, that is the highest and best use. And that's what we're looking at. There are other uses, and one of the other projects that was identified is interconnecting with Ormond Beach. Ormond Beach has a need seasonally for effluent, and they're also in the process of acquiring a large property up towards the Flagler Avenue border, which will be, I think, about a 100-acre reservoir. And so they can take water and then store it, and then during their peak demand season, use that water to augment and to beneficially irrigate lawns in their system. So that is another, relatively low-hanging fruit, cost-effective alternative. And so the tiers that we came up with were Tier 1 is expansion of your existing slow rate public access system.
I have it on the big screen if you want to.
Okay.
You want the mouse?
It's okay, I've got it here. So
Okay.
it's, if you want to pull it up, it is on page, keep going down.
16?
Keep going.
This is Tier 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tier 1 expansion of the slow rate public access reclaim system, and then Tier 2 is interconnect to Ormond. That just identifies various projects, dog park, all these other
Right.
projects, and what we estimate they can accommodate. Keep going up and talks about, in the Tier 1 section above that, the interconnect, right there. Okay, so this, go down a little bit further. Ormond Beach Reclaim Water Interconnect, we estimate on an annual basis, they have a need for almost 270,000 gallons per day on an annualized basis. So if they build a very large reservoir, you could participate in that project with them and be a partner with that project. And I think there has been discussions, and have they really gone anywhere with the city of Ormond as far as those discussions?
It's stalled. So we haven't heard from them in a while. I don't know if Joseph, have you heard from them at all?
No, they were going after grant money to support some stuff, and they were unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, I know they've been chasing money for land acquisition, and that's where that's at. And then we also did a conceptual design for doing some recharge in your well field areas. And essentially what that involved was trying to piggyback on some of Daytona's infrastructure that would allow you to get the water, essentially wheeling it out to your well field areas, and then land applying in the vicinity of the well fields to recharge in the Rima Ridge recharge area, where you're currently pulling water from the upper Floridan. So essentially land applying it, letting it do its thing, and then it becoming basically natural recharge into the aquifer to help your well fields. So those are your Tier 1 projects to try to get to that point. If in fact you're not meeting your targets at that point, then the Tier 2 is a interconnect with Ormond to assist with their RO concentrate blending. They do reverse osmosis treatment, and most of that product that they're putting out of their concentrate from the RO skids is a brine, and they have a maximum conductivity and concentration that they can accommodate. So having a blending source could be helpful for them in that concentrate blending. And then if that doesn't get you to where you need to be, the final strategy would be a deep injection well. And there is a figure that defines what a deep injection well or an aquifer, ASR aquifer storage and recovery well looks like. Just go down, okay. So basically, if you look at the deep well injection, it shows a final steel casing set depth of about 1,600 feet below the ground surface, which is about 800 feet below the bottom of the upper Florida aquifer. And so essentially, there's a lot of confining layers that are very, very dense and would prohibit upward migration of the treated effluent into the drinking water aquifer. Deep well injection has been practiced throughout Florida for 50 plus years. There's hundreds of functioning deep injection wells throughout the state of Florida, none in Volusia County, that have been operated and monitored and functioned well. And there is no documented case of any contamination of the drinking water aquifer from discharge into the USDW, which is the U.S. non-drinking water aquifer, meaning that the concentration of chlorides in that lower Florida aquifer is above 2,500 parts per million, so it's essentially saltwater. And the well construction techniques are such that it would prohibit upward migration of the water, and then you're using a series of sentinel wells surrounding that deep injection well and monitoring those sentinel wells that are set at various depths to make sure and monitor what's happening to make sure that you do not get any upward migration of water. So it's a very expensive option. A deep injection well, you're probably talking anywhere between $6 and $8 million for an injection well to do what you need to do with it. And I will tell you that a lot of communities in the county are looking at it as an alternative because they've done everything they can do with the other more beneficial type reuse options. But because you are putting it into a non-drinking water aquifer, it does not in any sense of the word constitute any type of toilet to tap.
So just explain, now we understand what deep well injection is, so just explain what true toilet to tap is.
There can be a lot of different definitions, but in the current environment that we're looking at, it is basically using some type of membrane treatment and treated effluent. So essentially the treated effluent that comes out of a wastewater plant, which is biologically treated, filtered, disinfected, and becomes public access reclaimed water, taking that product, running it through membranes, supplemental disinfection or ionization or UV or some other type of treatment process to create a potable water source. Currently, there are no facilities. There are pilot projects and demonstration projects where they're essentially treating effluent to those types of standards, analyzing the constituents of the water, and then blending that back in with their public access reclaimed water systems. But there are no legal pathways for actual potable consumption of treated wastewater at this point in time in the state of Florida. And all of the utilization and treatment of wastewater and management of effluent is regulated by the Florida Administrative Code 62600, and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection is the established regulatory agency that permits the operation of your wastewater treatment plant and your water treatment facility. So currently, Florida law prohibits any type of actual, potable consumption of effluent.
So since I'm the person that brought this up, it sounds to me that we've never been approached as a city to address this issue. I was trying to get ahead of things so we would have answers if we were approached. And I think we would never do what the true toilet to tap, what Brad just explained to us. So we may be trying to come up with a solution to a problem that we haven't even been asked to
I
address
think the
yet.
easier solution is we have an approach that will use state-approved processes, either reclaimed or, down to deep well injection, which is not toilet to tap, and it's not part of our future.
If it's against the law in Florida to begin with.
Well, but
I
here's
think,
the other
I think
point.
I think the point is that we're saying toilet to tap, and there's all these things on social media and
That's
political
not
things
true.
that are calling it toilet to tap, but they're actually asking another question that's not really toilet to tap, and the devil's in the details in it. I think for me to be comfortable, until I'm asked a specific question, I'm not gonna try to formulate the answer anymore. Because I don't know what I'm saying yes or no
Again,
to.
I think our plan is, we have a plan to get rid of our wastewater, and it
That doesn't include toilet to tap.
Period.
Right, right.
And the day will come, may not be in our lifetime, but the state of Florida will, at some point, allow toilet to tap operations, because you're gonna run out of alternatives at some point. I don't see that happening anytime soon. But when it does happen, your ordinance or your charter amendment is gonna be overwritten by the state of Florida.
Right.
Right. All right.
Well, thank you for that explanation.
Quite welcome. You know, obviously here to answer questions or anything else that, you know, I will say that what you're doing is consistent with everybody else in the county. Some folks are, you know, by necessity, looking at other deep well injection alternatives. And so, you know, it's being evaluated in Volusia County at this point in time because of SB 64.
Like you said, nobody is doing depot injection.
Nobody is doing it.
Because of the
In Volusia County,
astronomical
there is
costs.
no current permitted in deep well injection. Now, there is in Brevard County, a number of them in Brevard County.
And Jacksonville's looking at it.
Jacksonville, I think.
Jacksonville's got some pilots going on.
And what is Deltona doing? Are they doing-
Deltona has two things going on.
They doing
We're
reds?
we're working on this project, so I can speak relatively confidently where it's at. There is a existing permit and a grant, and we are currently preparing bid documents for a Upper Florida Aquifer recharge replenishment well, treating surface water
So
from
they're
Lake
using
Monroe.
Lake Monroe water,
So
not using
basically,
gray water.
right,
you're
so we're
using lake
intaking water from Lake Monroe, treating that surface water to meet potable standards, and then that will be used eventually to recharge the Florida aquifer to replace, because there's a minimum flow level established for Blue Spring. And because that the spring is in recovery, all the consumptive use permits for all of the West Volusia water suppliers is being constrained. And so they're looking at using treated surface water to go into the ground to replenish the aquifer instead of trying to connect to all these little pipes throughout the city. And it's a pilot project. The initial pilot project will actually use potable water. So we're taking water from the distribution system and putting it in the injection well that will be drilled into the Florida aquifer at about 400 feet below grade, 300 feet below grade, to monitor what happens to the water, what happens to the chemistry, you know, if it does in fact beneficially recharge Blue Spring.
Why couldn't you just take water from Lake Monroe and treat it and send it out?
The problem that you get into is there's a lot of organics. And those organics, when they're chlorinated, create THMs, which is a disinfection byproduct. And getting rid of organics is very expensive. You're getting into membrane processes, and you're getting into a lot of different treatment techniques that are potentially more expensive than just letting Mother Nature do the trick. And not worrying about formation of the disinfection byproducts, because for aquifer injection, because it's surface water, you don't have to inject chlorine. You don't have to disinfect that water, which forms the DBPs.
Is anybody using RIDS in Volusia County?
Oh yeah, that's what basically everybody in the west side is either using public access reclaimed water or rapid infiltration basins. That's it. That's the only way to get rid of large volumes.
So if the spring flow goes to a certain reduction, can a municipality's cup be reduced?
Oh yeah. That's the
And
struggle.
over the
right
many
now.
years, they've reduced cups for that reason. Our cup at one point, I think was 3 or 3 point something, and we're down to 2 point.
Yeah, it's cut by a third.
You're constrained by wetlands. So because the wetlands and the superficial aquifer is connected through hydrology to your drinking water aquifer, if you pull too hard, you're going to negatively affect the wetlands.
Yeah.
And you're right in the middle of a bunch of wetlands. So that is the constraint for your cup. The constraint on the west side is Blue Spring.
And the person fielding that is Daytona Beach, because they got the most growth coming.
So I couldn't tell you the status of their code as far as where they're at.
And that's the whole fight between Ormond and Daytona with the water.
Yes.
That's development related. There's a lot of stuff at play in that one, so.
I'd be the guy to ask, is there any kind of talk about restricting well permits for residential? Anything like that ever come out?
Any residential well, 2 inches and under, I'm not aware of any type of restrictions. Now,
Curious.
if you're in you might know of something to that
Well,
effect.
and again, actually, it's 4 inches and smaller in the wells, but they're considered the sacrificial upper wells. They don't go into the fluorine or the drinking water wells, they're very high, and they're seen as sacrificial by the state of Florida, all over the state. If you get the water in the 60 to 80 foot range, say
It's a shallow well for irrigation.
And they're permitted by Volusia County.
So there's no talk of restriction of
No.
that?
I'm not aware of it.
Anything like, nothing like
No.
that?
So just to give you an understanding of what a RIB is, a rapid infiltration basin, these are in Seminole County. This is the Yankee Lake facility. And these are sand filters that they pump
reclaimed water.
reclaimed
to-
water into, and it slowly over time percolates down into the ground.
So those, I mean, I'm looking at, those are huge. I'm looking at the
Yeah, they're
buildings.
very big.
He's a bit,
Those are like bigger than football fields,
If you
right?
go
Yeah.
to, if you type in Alexander Avenue in Deltona, Florida.
I know this one because I've been out there a lot of times.
Okay, so if you see all of those
These are,
geometric shapes around that tank in the middle, those are all ribs in Deltona.
Those are operational now?
Oh, yes. That's their primary mechanism for effluent disposal.
That's most economical one then.
If you have the property, it is.
And the ground can percolate.
And, yeah, and the geology and the topography, it needs to be high and dry.
Sure,
And you can't have scrub jays, and you can't have, there's,
yeah.
finding that piece of ground that is suitable is not always the easiest thing, is the problem.
How big is that, Brad?
That's an 80-acre site.
Wow.
How big are one of those,
They're probably 40 acres total.
40 acres apiece?
Well, 40 acres
No.
total.
40 acres.
that's about 440 feet by
3 acres?
400.
So that's, each of those ribs is probably about 2 acres, 2.5 acres. About 80,000 square feet is what you're coming up with, so.
Yeah, so
It's not too bad.
it's about 8 Hollyland parks.
So how much water can you build?
Yeah, but that's not an option for us though because of our,
We don't have any
Just
land.
asking. Geez.
because of our
Just
wetlands.
asking.
That, amazingly enough, that site can only handle barely 2 MGD.
That's it?
Yeah,
So it takes a lot.
surprisingly. Because it's up on a ridge, and all of those houses around it are lower, and you run the risk of daylighting. And basically, you daylight at the base of that berm, because those are berms that surround those ponds. And you can only load those to the point you don't daylight and negatively affect the property owner's
The
line.
water
They
comes
flood
back
everybody.
up.
Yeah, it basically tries to penetrate the interface between the berm and the ground behind it.
So it's like an elevated lake line.
So they really have to manage that closely. And rotate them and cycle them, and it's a thing. And so they've partnered with Volusia County, and Volusia County has ribs at their Del North wastewater plant, and that's where some of that water goes. Plus, they're interconnected. All the reclaim systems between the county of Volusia, Deltona, and DeLand are all interconnected, so they share water.
If you have any other questions, you can always.
Any possibility of going west and interconnecting with Daytona that way for reclaim?
Problem is Daytona doesn't want it.
We
They've
had-
Daytona's got their own problems.
got way more than they can handle right now.
We had conversations when I first got back in 2014, when John Drago worked for Daytona Beach, and we're not far from where Daytona sends their water west through some communities. So I was negotiating with John Drago at that time, and Drago's response was, well, if you're going to be in our system, if anything breaks along the line from Holly Hill to its destination point, regardless of how or why it broke, we are responsible for the repair. even though we may only be putting 10% of the water through the system, we were gonna be responsible for that. So, and John Drago, as you know,
Good guy.
good guy, he's not there anymore.
Nothing.
But Ormond would be a good partner.
But
And it's
our-
close.
What's the status of the interconnect? I hear, close, we're there, we're this, we're that.
The potable water interconnect, but the reclaim interconnect, that's what we're saying, we're kind of installed for a little while.
It's actually installed. We have to do some improvements at our plant to send it out there, and they're not quite ready for it yet. But
Is
their
that
plans
the
to
new
be
plan?
ready.
The pressure,
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah.
have more pressure.
We have to have more
That way.
pressure, and then they have to do some modifications to their system a little bit. They're not quite there yet. They're working on their big pond before they take our stuff. That's their priority. So they're ready, but
They're
we've got
running-
a couple of years to worry
You
about
got an
that.
8-inch, I think it is, the interconnect up by the dog park?
Yeah, 12.
12?
Yeah.
It's 12.
It may drop.
They run their system about 80 PSI. They run at fairly high pressure. You run
That's a
about
lot.
60. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to fix our system,
With our new
so
system,
we can
right.
handle it with the improvements at the wastewater plant. We'll be ready in the next couple of years.
They need a wide spot in the line to put it, which is ultimately what they want. to try to
We
create,
also
so.
need some storage,
Yeah.
extra storage that we're going for grants for. We're on target for 2032. But it's gonna be close.
It's not that far away. 6 years.
Seems closer every day.
And as we get closer, there should be grant money
That's
available
so
too, you know, realistically.
30, what's the day, a month, 30, what, January 1st?
I'd have to, I've
That
slept
cuts out a whole
since
other
then.
I can't remember if it's the January 1st or that, or
December.
December 31st, but it does. Again, we're on track, we have capital plans, we're on track, we're doing what we can to get there. We're not the only ones in the state that have a problem.
I'd still like to see some sort of study on what it would cost to give it, not give it, but to distribute it.
He just talked about
You
that.
mentioned that in the beginning.
What would it cost to, well, you wouldn't know, I mean, unless somebody's figured it out, for an area of the size of Holly Hill to distribute it to residential. What's the cost factor for that?
I could give you some example costs of retrofits that have been done in the land, but typically they were retrofit were large lots, like minimum half-acre size lots, bigger properties that are up in a high and dry area that need the water, but you're probably looking at $10,000 to $20,000 for lot frontage.
Yeah.
So even to get, 100 homes, talking, millions of dollars, so.
I figured $50 a month per house for the next 20
Well-
to 30 years plus usage.
And in my 14 years, I've never had that topic come up from anybody that was concerned about having that.
You know, we don't have a lot of people that have irrigation systems too, so. I mean, we do have a select few that have them, but
Yeah, I've never
I mean,
had
yeah, some people
anybody.
have wells, they have their wells and irrigation.
Yeah.
We have quite a few people with wells and irrigation. but
yes, we do.
Yeah,
They've
we
never
have to
been
charge,
off-
we
it's
have
never
to
been
charge
offered.
everybody in between those wells. We can't just pick and choose who we
Well,
get
no,
to.
of
We
course
have to get the
not.
lines
No.
in.
Everybody gets it.
No, I wouldn't,
So-
wouldn't imagine that.
I pulled up SB 64. The deadline is January 1st, 2032.
So you got till January 31, or December 31.
6 years away.
Well, staff sounds pretty confident to me that you're prepared.
We're working in the right direction.
Yeah.
I can't tell you we're gonna be there, but, we've got a plan in place and we're working towards it.
So although I've drafted the charter ordinance, I didn't put it on the agenda pending this conversation, and then you gotta make a determination if you want me to bring it forward or not.
I don't see any reason to bring
Yeah.
it forward because I don't know what question I'm answering. I haven't been asked, so. I'm
Is there any
not-
expense to it, Orman, for us?
I don't feel as though it needs to.
I mean,
I think it's gonna.
Right now, you all have the-
A whole bunch of discussion, that's gonna be a problem.
So thanks for the work, but we don't need it.
I mean, if it's brought to our attention and we have a specific ask, we can address it at that point, but I might be answering a question that's not the right
When
question.
are charter amendments due to Lisa's office?
I believe she said, well, it would go on November, so
Right.
we would have to give it to her, I believe, by August.
August.
July, August.
August, and back that up.
Yeah, so you
July.
gotta have 2
So
readings.
you would have to have your ordinances completed by by the second meeting in July in order for us to get that to Lisa by
By
August.
November.
But I don't
I'm just
see
saying,
a purpose.
no, but I'm just saying, once July comes, if it hasn't happened, it's not gonna happen for those 2 years.
Right.
Right?
What's the cost factor for us to hook with Orman? I mean, we're gonna pay them
We're
anything?
already hooked up.
Are we paying them anything for that?
No, they take the water for
Oh,
free.
so everything's just whatever our maintenance is on our side?
All right.
Thank
Anything else
you.
for Brad?
Thank you,
Thank
Brad.
you very much.
Time for dinner.
Well, thank you for putting me first on the agenda. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Y'all have a great evening.
Bye.
All right, let's spend some money.
All right, so the second part of this discussion is going to talk about some capital equipment options for the Public Works Department. So the reason we're bringing this forward is I did meet with Joseph and the staff that he has here and talk about some of the equipment that they're looking for. And the purpose of this is to find some efficiencies in operations that, you know, they'll be able to explain. I don't know if everybody knows, everybody at the table, Jacob Blankenship, he handles a lot of our field operations people. John, I keep wanting to say John Stokes because I know John Stokes. John Yoakum is our fleet manager. And you know Steve.
We have no idea who that is.
And then Fred. And then Fred is our stormwater engineer.
Has anyone ever called Jacob but his mother?
I call them Jacob.
Okay, call that.
So I call these guys my posse, and I want to tell you, we were looking very heavily at our operations and how we could do more with less. And Joe was talking about capital equipment, and we said, we looked at everything we did, and we really feel we're antiquated. So, I mean, down to, we use probing rods, not a GPR unit on the ground. That's how we track pipes. We go out and we have to cut down brush and stuff like that. We bring out hand saws and we hand throw it in the back of a truck. Mowing around ponds, we basically use landscape mowers and weed whackers around ponds. And, not to go anywhere in here, but we're not weed whacking at the moment. The baby rattlesnakes were actually jumping up at the weed whackers.
Oh my God.
So we have stopped weed whacking along the bank edge.
That would not be weed.
Some of our older equipment, we have, you know, we were using dump trucks and backhoes and stuff like that. This is, it blocks roads, so this is very, we have to have MOT, we have to close down roads, we have to have flaggers. There's a lot of people in the way we used to do ditch maintenance. We have the VACCON truck, it's very big. We have rear door areas and like Mirage Lake. We cannot get the VACCON truck in those areas because it's too big and will fall into the lake. And then we have small ponds, and here we are, we got a piece of cat equipment. This thing is just doing all kinds of damage in here. It's way too big for what we need to do. So how do we solve this? We looked at our different pieces of equipment. We want to work smarter, not harder. Bobcat. Bobcat is the easiest piece of equipment, track Bobcat. It has all kinds of attachments from grapplers to grinders. Let's go to the next one, there you go. So the grinders, instead of going in there with chainsaws, we can go in and actually grind it and we'll just mulch it right on site. We don't even have to take it away. You're talking one person doing that activity. The
How big
Bobcat.
of a,
Stop that line.
no, how big?
It'll take down,
It will take down a tree up to about a foot.
yeah, they're big.
See the one right above?
I saw it at the RV park one time.
Yeah.
You just hit the tree. the
So,
height of it.
and not that we can use it all the time, but it would make us so much more efficient if we had the right
But
tools.
we're calling SB Tree Company out for a lot of things that this piece of equipment can handle.
No, more,
SB originally was for places where you have stuff over people's houses.
Right.
You don't want to take that risk. Or if we needed a crane, because they have to reach into an area where we can't access. That's the main thing with SB.
So this would be more a dog park.
Yeah, and if we do anything along the railroad or anything like that, or maybe
Along
around the
ditches.
parks and stuff like that, and ditches,
So is the 197.5 inclusive of these attachments?
yes. And flip to the next slide. What we'd like to do is eliminate CDLs, and you see these driving around town now, they put a Bobcat in the back of a dump trailer. The operator goes out there, one or two guys, they put a dump trailer in the back. It rides in and out of the dump trailer, and they fill the dump trailer, then come back and get some more. So it's much easier, and it's a smaller crew than having we eliminated the hand holding on the materials, and then we also eliminated a big truck on the side of the road. Next one. So GPR, we desperately need to move into the 20th century. When we go out and look for pipes, right now, we probe the ground, we find a pipe, we don't know what it is, we don't know what size it is. GPR, you can actually, it's a little radar, and it shows you what the pipe is. We can follow the pipe.
And
It doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's a lot better than what we're doing now.
It finds it without tracer wire?
Yep, well, tracer wire helps, but we don't have a lot of tracer wire.
That's what my thought.
Yeah.
It's like X-raying the ground. So you can, the hardest one it has, I believe, is concrete pipe, but you will still
See the
feel
void?
structure.
Yeah.
You
Then you
know
see
the
structure.
depth on it, by any chance, Jake?
It depends on what's down there. Clay and water really mess with it, but as long as if our stuff's higher than that, there's usually not a
I was
problem.
curious about the depth, what's.
Oh, the max depth of
Yeah,
radar's
that's depth
down.
of yeah, what it reads.
It's 15 to 20 foot depending on, like I said, the type of soil it is, you know.
Yeah, we're mostly sand around here,
Yeah.
so they probably read it pretty deep. I mean, we've had guys come out with these. when
Yeah,
they
come out for us, and
We have to
they
pay for them.
find everything. This
Yeah,
way, we
but
don't
this-
have to pay a contractor.
This is this one's gonna work like the ones that they come out with.
And it's
We have to
protecting
pay
our
for it.
infrastructure, you know. I can't tell you how many times we found a pipe, but it wasn't the right pipe.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think this
Because
thing's great.
we're kind of, we have a map book that we go by,
Yeah,
and then we start probing the ground until we find something.
yeah.
Maybe it's the right pipe, maybe it's not. And we really can't follow it like you can. You can get on top of a piece of pipe with this and just walk right down the side of the road with it.
Have you physically seen this one by any
Yeah.
chance? Pretty good shape?
There's a couple of different ones out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 good models out there.
Yeah.
We'll see when we get, time for the purchase of it, but we need to move into the 20th century.
oh yeah, yeah, you definitely.
Not only that, it'd be a lot quicker than.
We paid a lot of money having these guys out in the past, haven't you? I mean, I don't know what we paid for them, but we spent quite a bit.
All right, next one. So, we've had the backcountry truck we use the heck out of, but this is a back trailer, and you don't need a CDL license for it. If the backcountry truck is out cleaning stormwater pipes, and we have a small water break or something like that, we have to pull the backcountry truck over to do it. Having this trailer would be a backup to it. We can also get into rear door accesses where we have a number of places where we have, stormwater pipes between houses in the back and no easement. We can work with the neighbors, we can get in there with this without destroying their property and do the cleaning we need to do to maintain the system. A lot better than we're doing now. And again, it's a backup to our VACCON. Next thing.
They do break down, the vacuum trucks do break down.
Yeah, and ours is getting older now. We've had good luck with it, and John's taken really good care of it, but it's still. All right, so
Just a minute, do we, is this work just like vacuum hose on the back truck?
Yep.
Or is this like extension hoses that actually, I mean,
it's a soft vacuum.
Okay.
Yeah, like the borers would use where they bring that.
How
that
far
salt
can
back.
how far can you reach out with the hoses that connect to this? I mean, like this, the vacuum.
It depends on how much you can store the material on the truck or in the back of the pickup.
How big is the diameter of the suction? Is that it right there? Is that the wand?
It's a 4.
The 4 inch?
It's 4 inch, yes.
It's not an 8 inch. So then the other one is, the next thing is to eliminate the mowing. We could send basically an arm mower out there, significant sized arm mower.
That can
And,
just chop.
and we're sending 4 people out there, we can send 1 out there, and it'd be a lot safer. We can also do ditch banks, blah, blah, blah. It's just, we need an arm
And we
mower.
need that,
We need that.
definitely.
And we get the center mount one, so the driver can actually see it. The old one we had was too small, it would slide into the lake, and it was rear mounted, so the driver's always looking behind him,
Right.
not looking in front of him. So, and a lot of this equipment, we'll get to the end, but we're looking at some used equipment. We don't use this equipment every day, so we feel that we could pick up some used equipment, prove it works, and then down the road, we can see if we need to buy a new one or not down the road.
Did you even get the tractor and the boom for 69 grand?
John?
Yes, it's pricey now.
Okay.
Yeah. The fire trucks are expensive too now. Everything's kind of.
No, I didn't think it was enough. I didn't think that was enough.
Well, we're hoping to stay, we're trying to be very careful with the budget. We're trying to be mindful.
A new one is, like the new tractors and stuff like that, like 400,000, but people are going to these new model ones. These older ones are becoming, I'm not gonna say, they're not as, quite as functional as some of those, but we don't need the fancy one. We just need we need something that one person can use. And can reach out 25 foot and not fall into the water while it's doing it.
This isn't the particular,
No, it's
This
an
is the
example
mo-
one.
This is just an example.
Yeah.
Are all these examples?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
except for the Bobcat.
Something about that?
Then the next one, this is really cool. We found this by accident. This is a wheel tilt rotor excavator. And instead of, we have ditches, we basically need to recover our ditch. We need to take about 6 inches out of the bottom ditches. We just keep moving down the road. So instead of having big roadblocks and everything else, this thing can pull a trailer, go down the road, and have a roving load rock, maybe just a truck following with flashers on. And it just picks up and dumps, gets to the end of the block, the thing gets full, they go back to the yard, they dump, they come back. We're not setting up blocking streets for long periods of time. It's gonna take some training, and for $100,000, we think it's gonna do a great job if we can make it work.
Well, on that point of training, we want to make sure that there's some personnel that are trained on this equipment, but not all personnel.
Correct.
Everybody doesn't need an opportunity to play with toys because they're just going to break it.
Right. This is going to be 1 or 2 people that we're going to have trained to do this, and it's a really good opportunity to try to recover our ditch bottoms. Like I said, our goal would be take 6 inches down the main ditches and then go to the side ditches, and then if we, at the end of the year, we go back, take another 6 inches out, but we're not
And that's
digging new
something we've
ditches.
been screaming about, so.
Yeah, so, but again, we're just talking about taking that much out of the ditch bottoms to start recovering those systems, and that's the best opportunity. So, capital plan, Bobcat with all the toys, and the trailer, just under 200,000, that's new. The ground penetrating radar is 25,000, that's new. Pre-owned vacuum trailer, that's 75,000. Pre-owned mower, 69,000. Tilt rotor, 100,000. Again, we've seen some prices, is it available today? It was available when we were doing this pricing. We think for under $500,000, we can significantly increase the productivity of our staff and get more out of them by using the right tools.
Joseph, have you seen on the excavator the V-shaped implement
Yes.
for restoring the ditches?
Yeah.
I mean, it seems a lot more efficient to do that than the old scoop style. You could just go sideways.
The problem with some of that is we don't want to go too deep, and we just want
Right.
we just want to take that bottom down just a little bit. So this is kind of what
This is
the wheel thing here is a little better for our town, because we're going to drive this down the road and just
okay.
I
I just didn't know if on that hook on the front, if you could just make the V one and just drag it down the ditch like that.
We do have service lines across, so we have to.
You don't want to go
definitely
deep.
very
That's the
wide.
problem.
Yeah.
We're going to be breaking water lines like it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions on these items before we jump into the rest of the
No, I think this helps to tackle,
I think if the
some of our
if the public saw
stormwater.
that excavator going down ditches
Yeah.
tomorrow,
That is great.
that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
What, we have Bobcat now, don't we? We had a
No.
couple of them. No, we lost them?
We have tractors, we have big tractors.
We've got the cats all left.
Bobcats burn out.
The
Well, we
bug,
had two of them at one time.
that was before I came here, and I think they already got rid of them before I got here.
Worn out.
Yeah.
We had one that looked just like this. Exactly like this.
Well, we have the mini
Yeah, we used it
excavator.
constantly.
We do have them in the excavator, but it's
Surprised.
a Bobcat, but it's not that.
And we use that thing every day. I mean, that's like a. when you
Yeah,
have
Like I
that-
said, I'm looking at the tools we have and the people we have, and if I got 4 guys mowing a ditch, I could send 1 guy out there.
Yeah.
And then I could use those other 3 guys for something else.
All right, I'm going to jump into the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
The cash
thank you.
carry forward funds. During the audit, you
You
found.
get to leave us now? Have a good night.
And again, these guys all help me do this. I mean, I didn't do this in a void.
Yeah.
You guys can leave if you want.
Thank you.
Run.
Run, go fast.
Good night.
Get out of here. Have a good night.
So I want to talk about the carryover funds for both the CRA and the general fund. And I want to start kind of with the CRA fund. And we've got, you learned during the audit that we have carry forward funds in excess of what our adopted policy is. I think our adopted policy is 20%. Now, here's the thing I want you to first consider with the policies. We're at 20%. Maybe we need to increase that. I don't know if 20% is enough in this economy with the price of things. So we may want to think about going to a 25 or a 30% reserve. As long as it's in your policy, we're okay to be there. So I want to put that in the back of your mind, and we'll discuss it again a little bit later tonight at the end of this session, if that's what we want to do. But when we're talking about, I'll use the term legacy projects. When we talk about some of these funds and some money that's available, we want to do legacy projects. We want to do capital improvement projects in the redevelopment area and in the general fund area. So I don't want them to be my projects. I really want them to be your projects, your thoughts, your ideas. It's an opportunity to, leave a legacy behind. Now, we did that most recently with the improvements to Sunrise Park. That was part of the last legacy project that we did. So I just want to kick it out and turn it over to you. Now, the CRA, is Ridgewood Avenue, LPGA, and a block or 2 east to west of that. This doesn't include LPGA or the LPGA canal because the county's got, remember, this coming year, when we renew the CRA, we will only get our CRA money. We will not get any of the taxing authorities' money. All the other taxing authorities' money is gone, except the county and their tax increment financing dollars are to be used only for stormwater projects in the LPGA corridor. So there's no sense in talking about that for this portion of the money because that's already got
Earmarked.
an earmark allocation. So, throw it out. No idea is a bad idea, until I tell you it is.
How much money we got?
The current unassigned fund balance for the CRA, and this was based on the audited financial statements, and then less anything that we have already done a budget amendment for this year, is 3.9 million.
That's what's beyond the 20% reserve, or that is?
That's beyond the 20%.
Okay, so you got $3 million to, which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money, depending upon what kind of projects we're talking about.
And Ross Point, we're still looking at
That's
grants.
outside the CRA. So right now, we're looking at CRA,
Okay. All right.
LPGA, Ridgewood, Block East and West.
Okay.
Primarily a commercial district. So we're coming to an end on the overhead to underground project phase 3. Phase 1 and 2 that we had a debt service on, that's coming to an end in May.
Our last 2 loan payments are this Friday.
Wow.
And it's now, yeah, well, May 1st.
Yes.
Right, May 1st.
Oh,
And when we get into the budget, you'll understand why we can still do some things in the budgets, because that debt service is going away. So, now any ideas for projects within the CRA? And again, Becky's here. Becky might have a couple of ideas. You have a couple of ideas?
Yeah.
She might have a couple of ideas that you may or may not agree with, but there's some ideas. But there need to be your projects. I don't want it to be staff-driven. I want them to be commission-driven. I want them to be your projects.
You're on.
So some of these are
Whatever you wanna
capital
do.
projects, some of these aren't necessarily capital projects. So some of the ideas I had were railroad quiet zones, developing a wayfinding system, landscape buffers between residential and commercial properties, affordable housing. So have you guys heard of Home Spring Hope? I know you have. So it's a nonprofit through ICI Homes, and they work with Daytona Beach a lot. Daytona Beach will donate lots to them, and they build affordable housing. Of course, we would have to have the lots and be willing to donate them, but that's an idea. Something, I don't know, I think we're gonna put this in the budget anyways, but we're looking at doing a Welcome to Holly Hills sign when you come over the Seabreeze Bridge, and some more landscaping at Shirley Hyman Park.
yes.
Creating bike paths, Flemish Avenue specifically, but there's other areas we could do it as well. Resurface State Avenue, and I have State Avenue specifically because I've received complaints about State Avenue. Purchase nuisance properties, residential lots to be used for affordable housing or commercial lots that can be primed to attract development. And then planting native low maintenance plants in our right of ways. So those are my ideas.
So not to knock our ideas down, but the commission, I don't know if it was this commission, previous commission, did away with wayfinding signs.
Really?
They saw that as sign pollution and felt that most things that people are looking for can be identified on their cell phones. So you're looking for Ross Point Park, you're looking for Sunrise Park, or the boat ramp, or the Historic Society, or the YMCA, you just put it into your phone and it directs you there. So this is probably 6-8 years ago, they opted to do away with wayfinding signs. What was the first thing you came up with?
The quiet zones.
Yeah, the quiet zones is, my own personal story is I grew up probably about 2 or 3 linear miles from the MacArthur Airport, Long Island. And every day you'd hear those jet engines start up and warm up, and it just became part of my life. It was just there.
I can hear the train where I live.
Me
And
too.
some people hate the sound of the train because it's annoying, but some people think it's calming because they've been hearing it for many, many years. So you may or may not get agreement on quiet zones. And quiet zones, I looked at quiet zones
It was
probably
expensive.
in 2015,
Right.
and I don't think that $3 million would cover quiet zoning in the
I
entire
think it
city.
would, but that would be all of
Then the
it.
maintenance. Yeah, that'd be all.
So the reason so Volusia County's doing quiet zones right now. They're, actually, when I was with the county, they were doing it, and we've been at the concert, and every night at the concert, the train goes right by and
Yeah.
honks its horn, so that's what put that in my mind.
Or while you're playing pickleball, I call it the Pictona Express.
So
I call it the symphony.
you go
I love
into
it.
Tallahassee, right? Tallahassee has expanded their roads and made bike lanes in their roads, so it doesn't have to be a completely offsite. We don't have a lot of easement. I just want to throw that out there. It might be just adding another 6-8 foot to our roadway structure
We want
and
to try to
having a
avoid
delineator there.
acquisition. If we don't already have the right of way,
It's very expensive to
obtaining
maintain.
properties.
Yeah, so expanding the road would be a good option to keep the cost down because you couldn't afford the right of way.
Well, I like Becky's idea of the gateway sign. We talked
Yeah.
about it years ago.
Yeah.
And it came to my attention, I think yesterday or Friday, when I saw a public works guy at US 1 in LPGA trimming a well overgrown tree that's lived its life and should be chopped to the ground, surrounding crappy wooden sign this big that says welcome to Holly Hill. That's a corner to our community. We talked years ago about having a gateway. How do you know the difference between Holly Hill and Norman? The base of the bridge, Publix, Mason, LPGA, those, and having something significant. And then the biggest complaint I think probably all of us get on the US 1 corridor are the undesirable motels. And whether we acquire them or however many we can buy for $3 million, I think that's our biggest bang for the buck.
You can probably buy one.
Yeah. Well,
Because I'll tell you, the Trapezar, Topaz, whatever it's called, that Walker and Ridgewood, what did she want for that?
Oh, the tropical.
Tropical Gable?
I think it was 3 million.
Some ridiculous number. So purchasing those, the upside to purchasing those places is it gets that blight out of the city. The downside to it is you're never gonna replace it. Property's insufficient, it's not big enough for much of anything, you're gonna lose your tax base. So I think you should focus on something that is more tangible that you're gonna see as an improvement. The gateway sign at Ridgewood and LPJ is a great idea, but I wouldn't do anything with that until Murphy's done doing what they're doing.
oh, neither would I. It's just,
All right, well, no, I'm looking for something immediate. I
Well-
want stuff now.
let's go buy the Happy Times and tear it down because it's the worst property we
That
have in
may
the
be
city.
coming
No,
up
it's
on
not.
your agenda.
What's the cost on the,
Oh, is that the one that I'm
railroad
on?
sidewalk?
Yeah.
I know that was a long time ago, that was an issue because of the cost.
What was that in
The
here?
sidewalk across the railroad on LPGA, it doesn't go across because of the cost. I mean, that was a cost factor years ago, and it was like extremely
Is it-
high, and it was like.
there's a gap
just won't
there?
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't cross. They have to come out onto the road and go around over the tracks and then back to it. But I remember a meeting, this was 10 years ago.
It's probably a railway thing, not a city
Yeah, it
thing.
was a railway thing, but we had to pay for it.
Yeah, oh, of course.
Whenever they come and
They're getting ready to
condition
do modifications to that.
it. Yeah, and every time they do it, we gotta pay for it, so. But I remember there was a large expense to do that, and I was curious if that's still, something we can't afford. Yeah, see,
Here's where it kind of stops.
Yeah.
yeah, just
You know, in order for it to keep going, it's got to go around the railroad.
No, that can actually, that's done before. I mean, of course, there are sidewalks all over. down
Oh,
there.
yeah, but they're gonna have to, and it's not a lot. I'll have to inquire as to,
I mean, that's something that LPGA needs. There's a lot of foot traffic up and down.
how close can they get to, how close can the sidewalk get to a railroad?
I don't think you can go past the
Because
farm.
it's the same thing here. It stops here.
And
Yeah.
that's done on asphalt. I don't know that.
That's kind of just grandfathered in there. That wasn't actually like
Well,
a,
that's Walker's. Let's just take a
Yeah.
look and see what Flemish looks like. This Flemish, and
yeah.
It goes across.
It's asphalt
They go to
as well.
asphalt. It's not necessarily a sidewalk, but at least it's a walkable path.
Yeah, that's walkable.
So that's what you're talking about, is just
Yeah.
making a walkable path.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, so maybe my idea of acquiring hotels is not gonna get any traction.
Untimely.
But what if we developed a super CRA grant to help them improve them? We don't wanna own them, we wanna partner with them, public-private partnership.
I think that would be
We'll
because,
give you 50%, or we'll give you 75%, you put in 25, up to $500,000. And then now you got 6 of them that we've been drastically improved. I don't know, I'm thinking off the cuff here, but.
well, I remember there was a couple of years ago that we had discussions about trying to acquire them, but that's when code enforcement kind of came down on them for us. And
We've closed some, we've cleaned some up.
so I think that's a great idea, Mayor.
I think the problem with that is getting the commitment from the owner.
No, I know, they gotta have some skin in the game, for sure.
And they also have to have a design image and a goal for what they're gonna do.
Right, and
They
it
can't-
may not be the current owner. If we said we have a 75-25, and I'm just throwing numbers out for illustration. If we had a super eco grant type it might attract investors to buy out some of these people.
Sure.
Then they can pay $3 million for it, knowing that they're gonna get $500,000 from the city and put it in there and make it something. If we had this at the south end of town, Donnie Moore would have eaten it up on his project down there. They're doing it without any help from the city, and they would have been done a year ago if we had invested some. I don't know, let's
get
think-
two and see
I think it
how
might
that
be a good
goes.
idea
Yeah.
to put some feelers out to see who would be interested.
And again,
Clientele.
no offense to the commission, I'm looking for projects we can do now.
Okay.
Okay, when's the deadline we gotta spend this money? Money has to be allocated.
Right, technically, if you don't have this money allocated in 2 years, you can be required to pay it back. So you have to allocate this money to projects.
Okay.
Does the project have to be
3 years,
completed?
3 years. No, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be completed, but I can't be sitting on CRA money that's not been
Okay.
allocated or encumbered for a project.
Okay.
The taxing authorities can come back and go, what do you do with that money? So we can forecast for long-range things, but while you kind of have we still have revenue coming in. We still have things that we can do. We'll get into that when we do the budget. But right now, we're just looking for projects.
I've mentioned it in your office, and I'll do it now, because you said we'll mention it in the meeting, but we did, they did turning lane over there on Flomish for the new, what's the name of that, new apartments?
The Mirage?
Mirage. It couldn't have been that much of an expense. We need something like that on LPGA, and not all of it, but in there's certain areas, like Commercial Boulevard, where the semis sit there and block traffic for 10, 15 minutes. I don't know if you could do it at the junkyard, it's too close to the railroad tracks, I don't know. But definitely need a couple turning they didn't widen Flomish that much either to get that lane in there, I don't know how they did it, but they did.
I think did it go off the road onto the private property?
Yeah,
So
yeah, they squeezed it in there, but
is it part of the road
doable.
system, or is it part of their, I'll call it
Part of their frontage.
extended driveway?
Yeah.
How far does the CRA go on LPGA East?
It's right in the middle of the RV park.
No.
No.
Ridgewood Avenue.
No, East, on LPGA.
LPGA. It goes,
To Daytona?
not to Daytona, but I think it goes in, does it go all the way to Noza?
No, the other way.
East.
Oh,
The other way.
East, Mrs. Forte. The other way.
The other east.
Towards the river.
I'm just trying to look at
Directionally challenged.
CRA.
This way. So here's LPJ and Ridgewood, so I think it comes down to Daytona Avenue. It does not go further.
Yeah, it doesn't go to Riverside, I know that.
Does it go to the east side of Daytona, or does it just stop at Daytona?
Let me see if I can.
I think it includes the right of way.
There's portions of Riverside, right, that lets up to Daytona, that's in the CRA.
I'd love to see something where we did, I think I mentioned it before in the meeting, I know I'm talking a lot, but it.
You didn't get CRA.
Do some sort of beautification there, give it like pavers in the road. Orman's done it in a few places in their older historical area where they beautify the intersection, just give it a more homely look.
So it really doesn't come far down Daytona. It doesn't come all the way to Daytona Avenue here. It just boxes in Daytona Avenue behind City Hall. So yeah, I mean, you want to pick a couple of intersections to do some paver improvements. That's a beautification project we can look at.
Yeah,
Well,
Not
I'm fine.
not on LC, not on US 1.
No, on
No.
US 1. You go to Ormond Beach, and I think down one of their,
Yeah, they did it in their historic, I don't know if it's their historical area, I don't know what it is, but it's
Okay,
by the
so-
police station there, and some of the older
Yeah.
streets back there, they've done it.
So here's an idea my wife keeps giving me. So we're getting ready for our 125th anniversary. Daytona is flying flags. Why don't we put in flagpoles along US 1 to put Christmas parade flags,
Yes.
4th of July flags, and that.
We talked about that some years ago, but some negative Nelly over here.
The DOT will not let you, or FPL will not let you put it on their
No,
pole.
that's what I
He
said,
said
we gotta put.
Our own pole.
I think it should be decorative poles down the middle and
Just-
flags
Just take that
interchangeable.
open corridor we just made and clap it up with some poles and flags. Whatever you want to do, I'm okay with that.
Really?
I'm wide open.
You can change the
It will
flag
still
seasonally.
be open.
Just flags.
Could you call Mrs. Forte and have her straighten you
I
out?
actually think that's an awesome
I
idea.
think it's a great idea. I see it on the bridge in
I think-
Norman.
You want to
How they
stand?
advertise.
I think-
The bridge,
Granada. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like every 100 feet.
No.
You can have one a block.
No, but they have to be nice.
And if they're
Remember,
done to,
Powder-coated poles, will, because of our proximity to the water, will,
We learned that. We
then
can
we
have
will
galvanized
do
poles.
some other
Yeah,
kind of
we can do
poles.
other kind
Yeah.
of poles like we do the playground equipment.
all
Yeah.
right, so you want galvanized,
I'm a negative Nelly over here.
galvanized poles.
I can just see ion water flags all the way down Vermont.
And we
All
want,
the programs we do
Flags.
can be, it just would integrate us with the community and.
Concert at Pictona.
You want flags out every day of the year?
No,
So then we just.
well, now.
not flags,
No.
banners.
Banners, you want banners out?
Oh, I was thinking more.
Joseph's gonna have 3
flags.
extra guys that don't have to cut grass. They can
But
put flags
if
up
you
and
do
down.
flags,
You're talking-
always, you lose the effect of them. They have to come down, you have to wait a period of time, and then put new ones
I'm
up.
just trying to envision what these blank poles are gonna look like on our corridor.
So if you go down to Daytona Beach Shores and drive down Daytona Beach Shores,
They have those
Right.
banner flags.
they have
things.
decorative poles with flags, that's what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
indeed.
See, you have the vision.
What did she say? You're fired.
In Daytona Beach Shores, if you drive down Daytona Beach Shores, they have exactly what they're talking about, the decorative
Yes.
poles with the
Just-
flags. And
Yeah, go
normally-
further in
No,
Volusia County,
just
Joe.
go
Don't
over
just
the
stop
Granada
here.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
over the
Yep,
Granada
you
right
can
Bridge.
do that too.
And
And
think of the signs you see there.
I'm talking about big banners, I'm talking about the size flags. that
You
say
can't, you
something.
probably won't see them on here, but
Every 20 yards or 10 yards up the Granada Bridge, they advertise.
How
every-
about for palm trees?
Don't we already have those?
Yeah, we already
right
have.
there, Joe. That's on their decorative light.
Yeah, there you go.
I know, but we could have a thing just
Look
like
at those
that.
palm trees.
Yeah, that is what I'm talking
Me
about.
too.
But these are light poles.
Okay?
Okay, but there are other poles.
They're
that can do the
multi-use.
Same thing.
Yeah, put 'em
Yeah.
out.
My point is, we wouldn't put more lights out. We
No.
already have light poles, so you would
Yes.
just be putting,
Those aren't streetlights.
Yeah,
are
those
sidewalk
aren't
lights.
street lights.
the DOT, Fred, back me up here. The
Fred,
DOT is not gonna
don't
let us
back
put
him
this
up.
much additional light on Ridgewood Avenue.
We don't need light. We have a, it's
You
lit.
I agree, we just want
Yeah,
poles.
we, poles
That's a
and
very dim, that's a
flags.
very dim light.
And the ability to
Yeah, it's not
change
like
the
a
flags.
bright
turtles.
LED.
I'm not supposed to say anything, but what about getting a higher quality street signs throughout the city? So they
It's a great
stand out. So
idea.
they stand out.
Well, there's
Only
that.
on the CRA.
Yeah, there's only a CRA.
Oh, okay, then the CRA.
Well, we could do it this year.
Yeah, the CRA area, oh, it'd be great. Yeah.
Did have some special toppers in the CRA years ago.
We did.
Well, there's some on the side
Yeah,
streets
the neighborhood
too.
streets.
Yeah,
We could
That's
now
nice.
have 125th.
Trees make
we could, but with the flags, you change them out.
And those lights are not bright.
I don't.
They're a dim light.
Yeah, those, yeah.
Mr. Forte, those are dim lights.
Those-
They're
those
not
are-
bright, and I don't
those
think
really-
DOT's gonna complain about it.
Let's get to the real money. Let's go to the next page.
They will.
Okay.
All right.
We haven't solved anything.
No, that's.
So far I've
normally what
got
happens.
gateway signs, railroad crossing and
Yeah, I guess.
LPGA for the sidewalk, galvanized poles on US 1 for banners.
Flags, not banners.
He said not flags,
Banners, they're
banners.
banners, those are banners.
Flag banners.
Those are
We'll
banners.
go with
They're
flags.
I'm gonna
They're
tell you
flat.
guys,
If you go to the printer and order a banner, you're not gonna get that.
Okay.
some
Just
really
so you
nice
know.
palm or palm groupings in areas will really make you look more residential than commercial.
So some, exterior landscaping.
Design type thing could be.
It's a good
really
idea.
I think if we go back to the CRA
Do
plan,
we-
you're gonna see a lot of this stuff.
Do
already.
we want it to look more residential on Ridgewood?
We already have palms up.
You don't want it to look, you want.
You want it to look like, hey, there's businesses here.
Well, but you also
Spend
want to look
money.
at it like it's inviting, you know?
Yes, definitely.
Not-
Put a
not
hedge out
start.
in front of Holly
Yeah.
Hill and said Holly Hill.
Sure. A couple of years, the manager take it out, when it looks like a smear.
I want to tell you, DOT is spending 5 to 10% of their budget on landscaping, and you know, you go down these roads now, you're seeing all this major landscaping going on. It's to make it look more appealing to people wanting to come in.
Right.
I would be for some nice landscaping.
It's also paying for what all
And
the
the CRA
wire
corridor.
people destroyed.
In addition to what's out in the medians,
Well, probably more at the intersections to make that.
in the intersections.
Not in. Around.
You can't, there's stacking lanes there, there's no place.
I didn't say in the middle.
And I think we should find out the difference between on the sidewalk flags / banners or in the median. Because I'm picturing them in the median.
Now, that's a
But-
better idea.
Yeah. Okay.
No, they have to be breakaway poles that snap at
Yeah.
2.5 miles an hour.
I would like them
Oh.
better. I would like them better along the side, I think.
All right, we'll take
Okay.
a look at that.
All right.
Actually, if you put them in the middle, you gotta.
Let's see if we can capture
Yeah.
some other
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
possibilities.
What about the, we were going to at one time add more of the painting projects.
We have money in the budget for that. If we have, did we take it out of the budget? You know, we opened it up for businesses.
No,
to-
I'm talking about, that group that we did murals.
We painted
Sorry.
everything we can paint.
What if we gave 100% grant to property owners? I think the problem is no one wants to pay to paint it, but I think those murals attract people.
There's gotta be some
Do
buy-in.
they know about the storm drains?
I don't know anything about
Yeah,
storm
We're
drains.
looking at a painting project where some of these storm drains that are on the curb.
They paint a manatee or a trout or
you
something.
paint.
Oh, okay.
People not to dump
Yeah, they have them in
it.
New Smyrna.
So we're already looking at that in the budget, but, you know, mural grants, you know, I wouldn't do 100%, there's no buy-in.
Yeah, so right now, well, you'll see in commission, but we've already spent, or guaranteed 125,000 in property improvement grants, which includes mural grants. But like Joe said, I talk to people about mural grants all the time, and
Oh, okay.
nobody does it.
All right, we're gonna appeal into the CRA master plan and see what else is in there. All right, so now we have about 15 minutes to talk about the general fund.
How much do we have in there?
Come up with an idea first.
Well, I have to have an idea how much money I have.
Ross Point has to be on that list, I think, if we don't at the end.
Ross Point is an option for that. We need to put money in there for Ross Point. You know, we're gonna apply for an ECHO grant, but there's concerns about whether we can get that ECHO grant this year because engineering is required. We might have to push that off to next year.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about using some of that money I need to seed a fire department, fire apparatus replacement. So that's gonna run about $1.3 to $1.5 million in about 8 years from now. So I think we should take $250,000 to $300,000 and earmark that for fire apparatus replacement, and then each year budget $75,000, $100,000 toward that, so that in 8 years from now, we're not looking for $1.5 million.
Okay.
We should talk about whether we're gonna fund some of this public works equipment. It's
Well, we need to talk about how much we have.
8.3 million.
8.3?
And
My goodness.
that funds all the equipment needed for public works, right?
I wouldn't say all, it funds what they've asked for.
You still have
That's
reserve
possible.
behind that, right?
That
Besides that,
exceeds the
You
reserves.
still have like, your reserve.
I do not have a problem in
The
the world
requirement
because
budget
this is
fund
gonna help
balance.
tremendously with our stormwater project.
Yeah, we have that much, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
Label them stormwater team.
So the
yeah,
other things. that we had-
stormwater would be good.
we talked about possible improvements at the YMCA.
YMCA.
Yes.
To partner with them, because Joe and I also talked about, this is Pollyanna again. You know, I think our rivers are one of our greatest assets that we have. And we've spent a lot of money on Sunrise Park North recently, and Sunrise Park South before that. We have a wonderful boat ramp, and if you go there on the weekends, it's highly used. If you compare our boat ramp to Ormond's newly renovated boat ramp, the big difference is Ike's Bait Shop.
I agree. I thought
yeah.
that was great.
And if we were to have a store maybe the size of this room, located in our park, we could build it and then bring in a private person to run it and sell bait and sunscreen and ice
Soda
cream.
And two hot dogs, potato chips, and a Coke for $3.
And make it a
Yeah.
destination for people to come
Yeah,
here and
that's a good idea.
use our facility. That would be a very positive thing in our community.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Better increase the parking,
So, yeah, that's gonna
because
be.
it's already packed on the
So you gotta
weekends.
think public
Put something
perception.
like that in there.
What are you gonna spend money on that public perception
All
is
the
gonna say,
way
that's a
down the-
good use of our money?
Yeah.
With all that we've added to that park, it's for everybody in your family now. So this is a good addition, I think.
No, I'm not saying it's not, I'm just saying let's go on to more.
Right.
Right.
You
Okay.
know, I'm gonna bring up speed control.
You know,
I still would like to try some. I don't care if it's 1, 2, you can start it in front of my house.
Yeah, that would be good
That's so
perception.
generous. Yeah, really.
I'm gonna be starting in front of your house, but
I'm just saying, I mean, we got them on, what is that,
hammock.
hammock. We got one there.
That was in with the deal for Walmart.
Been there for years.
well, there are some speed control apparatuses that aren't speed bumps.
Right.
Anyone go down A1A lately?
I did,
Yeah.
and those are amazing.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to trying one somewhere, but don't put it in front of your house because that wouldn't look.
Yeah, that's not good perception. I'm not opposed to that either, but my concern would be, how do we determine where they're gonna go? Everybody is gonna want one on their street.
I would suggest you try to put one on Alabama Avenue, only because people use a lot of the side roads off of Flowmish to get to Alabama to cut up to get to Walmart.
Right.
So that could be our test
It
area?
could be like a cut-through areas.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want one on my street, but my street is a huge cut-through area. People come off of Riverside Drive, go to the post office, hit US 1. There's a lot of traffic going. So I think some of the higher traffic areas, the only problem is that the speed control devices I've seen that are removable if we don't want it are one thing, and the ones on A1A are pretty permanent. I think the only way you take those down is you grind them down.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the cost is. I don't want to spend,
No,
You
I
know,
would suggest.
Is there
$50,000.
something like those that
I don't know.
would be,
The one up on Hammock, that's removable. It's been
No, no, I'm-
been there for,
right, no, I'm not
20
saying,
years.
I'm saying the ones on A1A are smoother. They
yeah.
get your
Oh, yeah,
attention,
I
but
know.
it's
I
smoother.
know, I know, I
And
got
the
them.
lights that
Oh,
flash
yeah.
when somebody's walking across, yeah.
There's other techniques too
Yeah.
besides bumps. There's shifting lanes and.
Oh, call the engineer that designed A1A. and redo
Yeah,
that.
let's not go that way.
But there's
Yeah.
other things that.
Right, no, there's other.
I'm just throwing
right.
those out there.
There's other traffic calming devices, I agree, but,
You get some input from the chief, you could probably tell you where a good place to put them is.
so, I'm gonna go full circle and get yelled at, but we focused on, we know we can only spend CRA money back in the CRA, but there's nothing to say that we can't spend general fund money in the CRA.
Correct.
So if we wanted to, going back to my crazy idea, incentivize investment into the motels, we have more than $3 million to do it. We actually would have $11 million to do it. And I'm not saying take the whole thing, but we can spend money, general fund in that, we just can't spend that to the general fund.
I would go for two large grants that we publicize get the investors, the realtors knowing about it, and see if that works, but I wouldn't want to go
Well, and
further.
then there's another thought too. I think most of us went down to the Brokers Open at Marina Grande this past week, and they got a lot of interest. And if you
Yes.
think of, in the CRA master plan, there's an idea of an entertainment node, starting from
Yeah.
Copper Bottom, Shea Paul's, Drunken Duck,
We were trying to
that
get
whole
with
area,
Daytona on
so
that.
that could be a major incentive too, major incentive area. The property right across the street from Marina Grande, depending on, what was
He's
that,
asking
Paul, who was that, Paul
fortune.
something or other?
Carpinella?
No. That property right there.
Yeah, it's empty, but he wants
Oh.
a fortune for it.
But, I mean, that could be a wonderful area down there. It's gonna take, but it's gonna take, the only way it works is if we have CRA investment, because private industry is not investing there right now. So we have to make it attractive for them to come here and incentivize them somewhere.
So you're saying beautification in that area?
No, I'm saying offer bigger incentive packages to help it easier for Becky to recruit someone here. Let's give her more tools to get them here.
But I think we do need both. We need incentives and we need there to look nice, because when they're coming to the area, they're gonna drive around and see what the area looks like. So that isn't, beautification is an important aspect.
But we have a hard deadline with the CRA, but we don't have such a hard deadline with the general fund money.
And the marketplace building, it's half empty, right? Where
I don't think
the
so.
pig is,
I don't think so. It's mostly
chicharias.
full.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the whole other side was empty.
No, the Tassos is there, there's a real estate agency there, there's a chiropractor there. It's mostly
There's no
full.
signage for all that.
It's all inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, can you identify properties that you would like to invest, help investments in? For development, redevelopment? Can you actually identify the properties?
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
right, anything in that south end of town on Riverside Drive. North of the town line, north of the town line and south of
Yeah.
3rd Street.
Remember, we already put together a plan for that. But again, you need private sector investors.
Right, you know, well, here's another thing, the Copper Bottom's right there. They want to expand. Their limitation is that they have no place for stormwater, and then all that grass down there is owned by one person with an open-ended contract from the city that they could put their stormwater on that place where Joe's Hand is with no end date in sight. So stormwater is an issue for them. I don't know if it makes sense to acquire some of that property for additional stormwater for that expansion. They're talking
You
about.
have to be very, very careful providing taxpayer money to private industry for their benefit.
Yeah.
You can't be saying, I'll build your retention pond so you can profit and use taxpayers' money to do it.
I agree.
Look at that cursor, that elevation is 2.
I'm not sure where you're at.
Elevation right there, wherever that cursor is, put the cursor up there, and it's showing an approximate elevation.
I see.
0.
Well, it floods all.
You know, everything here comes over the border, yeah.
The pond isn't gonna do you much good.
Not gonna do any good.
Now, that's plus or minus a foot, I mean, it's not that accurate.
Well, that floods with the tide in there.
Our
Boxes flood with the tide.
Our missing piece is that we don't have a Bill Jones that wants to invest in our major corridor like Granada does.
Do we still have interest in that property across the street from Marina Grande? Don't we, does the city own that?
No, we sold it to a guy that applied to us.
Talking about 224 Riverside? Yeah.
So-
That lot.
So I don't have much here. Ross Point Pier, which is probably going to be a couple of years out, Public Works equipment, seeding the fire department apparatus, looking at the bait store at Sunrise Park, speed humps on Alabama Avenue, to the YMCA,
YMCA.
Fire truck.
And maybe signage near the Marina Grande area for that section.
What do you mean by signage?
Like, better signage for the marketplace.
Yeah.
They had an electronic sign up there that they took down.
Okay.
They had a message board.
You got an intersection improvement?
I don't.
And what about change in the 2 lanes there to 1 that was talked about last year?
Oh, the 4 lanes to 2, right there. Right?
Okay, yes.
Um,
Well, one side would stay 2, but the side that goes from 2 to 1, pretty
Right,
much
like in this area.
right there.
To the north a little bit, I think. It doesn't go to 2 lanes, so way far out.
You know,
I just don't know what you could do with that.
I would ask you what the public benefit of that is, and what are you getting out of it?
Just for the speeders, to slow all the traffic down before.
We're trying to get you to think of legacy
I
projects.
gotcha.
What do we want to be known for? Hey, if Holly Hill use our taxpayer money to reduce the lane. You want grandiose ideas, you know, big ideas, something that's going to stand out.
Right.
Well, I think if we do some of the beautification projects, the signage projects, the banner flags, I think a lot of that is going
We
down
got
that.
everybody saying banner flags now.
If you did did a lot of those intersections down through Daytona Avenue, I mean, that's a big improvement to every intersection on Daytona, not every, but most of your main
So you're saying
intersections.
use the general fund to put in intersection
They can be
pavers?
stamped pavers, they don't have to be real pavers, something that can be, in case you have a water break, you have to dig it up, you don't have to repave it.
So you're talking about some kind of a stamped
Stamp it back
concrete or
out.
stamped?
That
Yeah,
would be cool on
Just looks
Riverside
nice.
Drive and a few places.
yeah, even Riverside Drive, there's all kinds of places you could do it, and make it
Or
more homely.
Edgewood.
You know, maybe put a couple decorative, small, not street lights, but like signage like that, like you wanna do, you could put the flag signage even in on the corners of the intersections. You know, stating what's happening next in Holly Hill, or, you know, Easter, holiday, 4th of July, flaggage, whatever is going on, you know, so when you come down Daytona Avenue, you're seeing something besides just, you know, intersection after intersection. We stopped, I don't know, 4 or 5 times before you get to Mason down this way.
There's actually
It's
some
just-
cool paint they paint on the roads now that are better than the stamp. And it's thick, but it holds up. There's
Joseph,
been
what about
seven
putting those
of them.
banners/flags on like stop signs?
Can't do it.
Can't
I
do
don't
it.
think you
You
can.
can't do it. You
At
can't
the
use.
top of them, you can't put it on top of them.
Should we meet again, Joe, when you
We're
get
gonna
an
have to, 'cause I don't have
idea
anything here.
of pricing and? We got quite a bit. Some of them you don't like, but you still have quite a bit.
Some?
He doesn't like any of them.
You know, pedestrian crossings, you know, like the flashing lights and stuff, cost you $25,000 a crossing, you know, there's some.
That might be some good ideas.
Maybe we could see put those banner flags on Riverside Drive.
I was gonna ask you, can we put them on our light poles?
I don't think that's where people are gonna see them as much as we would.
But we can add Riverside if you'd like.
I didn't even see you back there.
He's quiet as a mouse.
Well, we have a full house
His
in
wife
there.
takes up the
Not
majority.
sure why.
He didn't get a chance.
You're gonna find out why in a minute.
Yeah.
It's all politics.
Politics?
All right, we're gonna have to meet again. We're gonna have to come up, we're gonna have to put this in Chat GPT and see what it says.
I'm not available in person in June, but I will be available by phone.
All right, what about May, add it to our May meeting? Bring up that part.
All right, so we gotta think outside the box. No, there's 8 and 3 million.
Grandiose ideas, legacy
Big.
projects. Something
Legacy.
Something
All right.
taxpayers are gonna go, man, I'm glad the city spent money on that.
Giant whack-a-mole on front lawn with your head.
How about historical signage?
What's your story?
Well, I'm not sure. I
think we're gonna be late.
Right.
Can I imagine when we